Welcome back. Still in the political segment, the Senate has proposed jail term for sexual predators in tertiary institutions. On Wednesday, the 6th of November 2019, the Senate proposed the bill for an act to prevent, prohibit, and redress sexual harassment of students in tertiary educational institutions and for other matters connected therewith. The bill proposes up to 14 years jail term with a minimum of 5 years and without an option of fine for any educator who commits a sexual offense in tertiary institutions. Joining us in today's program to discuss this, we have
with us in the studio Ms. Lami Apejoye, the founder of social market Nigeria. She's also a public relations expert and a digital marketing strategist. Welcome to the show, Lami.
Thank you for having me.
Also, my pleasure to welcome Professor Musa Ashom Maisamari, Professor of English Education and Dean, Faculty of Education in University of Abuja. Welcome to the show, sir.
Welcome, thank you.
Prof, let me start with you. Yeah. I particularly love this bill. I feel like it's actually coming in a little too late, but I'm happy it's finally come up. The bill actually defines sexual offenses as including sexual intercourse with a student or demands for sex from a student or a prospective student, or intimidating or creating a hostile or offensive environment for the student by soliciting for sex or making sexual advances. I'll go further into this. Other forms of sexual harassment identified in the bill are grabbing, hugging, kissing, rubbing, stroking, touching, pinching the breast or hips or hair or lips or buttocks of any other central part of the body of a student. Also included are sending by hand or courier or electronic or any other means naked or sexually explicit pictures or videos or sex-related objects to a student, and winking or screaming, exclamating, joking, or making sexually complimentary or uncomplimentary remarks about a student's physique or stalking a student. I believe this bill is very holistic. The legislators really looked at the entire framework of this and put everything into this bill. What's your reaction to this as a professor?
Well, I'm a teacher, and as a teacher, I'm also a father. And to every Nigeria, sexual harassment is something we should all be against. For the bill to come up, it's welcome to prevent it, but I have a caveat there. What is the mischief in this bill? Is it to prevent or to ridicule the academia? Because if you talk of sexual harassment, we've had cases of incest in Nigeria, parents pregnanting their daughters. We've had the case of the, is it Apple 6 or Apple 4, policemen intimidating a girl or a lady they so wish to have maybe intercourse with, and because she refused, some lives were lost. And there are many others deviant issues like that. And I want to say, the academia is like any Nigerian society. It has its Judases, like we also have in the Bible. Of the 12, there was one. And I want to believe that those who engage in sexual harassment are few. Of course, established cases, we know the recent one that happened in Unilag, and there was one again, I think, in one OAU and one other polytechnic. But out of how many universities? For a whole National Assembly to come out and say they are making laws against educators. And I would have asked, where were they when that happened with the police? Where were they when parents were involved in that? No one is against preventing that. But what is the mischief? Is it to ridicule the academia? If it is to ridicule the academia, then I will look at it as lack of appreciating the sacrifice of what the academics do.
Okay, well, Prof, just to chip in, I know that this proposed bill has about 24 to 27 clauses,
yes.
And one of these actually focuses on people who make false claims of being harassed. So I think there's a sentence of about 7 years for people who make false claims. But Lami, I'll come to you. I know you are very vocal in the Church Me Too saga. This bill focuses on tertiary institutions, and that's because the legislators have said religious leaders are out of this, primary and secondary schools are out of this. Do you think it covers the whole spectrum by just focusing on tertiary institutions, or it should also have covered secondary schools?
That's exactly my problem with this bill. It's not broad enough to cover everyone. So are we saying that people in missionary schools cannot rely on this bill? How about people in, people training to become pastors, people training to become imams? What are they going to rely on? It's not broad enough. They need to do more. It's shameful that, because these things, we had a case, Christian Academy, the teacher that was just sent to jail for 16 years, who molested a 2-year-old. This happened in primary school. There are other cases in secondary schools as well. So I think that this should not just cover tertiary institutions. We should go deeper to say, you know what, everywhere, we need to create safe spaces for children, even from the age of 2 to, till they're old and grown. So who protects, children that are not in tertiary institutions? What can they rely on? So I think that's my major problem with this bill. It needs to be more, it needs to be broader than this.
Wholesome. I agree with you, but I think it's also a fundamental place to start, the fact that we have this already.
I agree.
And also, I believe the first reading happened just yesterday or the day before, and it's open up to the public for us to make our input and contribution. So people like yourself and people who are watching can also go together to the National Assembly and actually make their contribution to this.
Okay.
But Prof, I was very shocked with your feedback or your reaction to this bill.
Because you started on the negative side.
I understand from your perspective, speaking to you now, why you feel like, okay, it might be an attack on the educators themselves. But do you see that from the young people that we've talked to on this show, off camera and on camera, at least 4 in 5 of them, especially the women, have been sexually harassed by their professors, by their lecturers. So with a statistic that glaring, do you see the need for a bill like this? Do you see a need for a law to be put in place that this is not okay, whether it's consensual or non-consensual?
Yeah, like I said, no one is against any law that will prohibit harassment. And we said this harassment can be in all the sectors of Nigerian society. I just read today on one of the social media of 2 nuns. You would understand what I mean by nuns. The women who dedicate themselves to church activities and refuse, would not marry. That 2 nuns working in Nigeria have been impregnated. And you ask, by who? Were they in the Nigerian Academy of Education somewhere? Were they in the university or polytechnic? No. And I said this is a phenomenon that is all over the Nigerian society. We gave the case of the police. We gave the case of the Senate themselves. The senator that harassed a woman in a shop buying a sex toy. Did they go out to make law for that?
But he's been charged to court already.
Of course. Let the same law take effect in Nigerian academics or in Nigerian institutions. We have our laws. Of course, I am reliably informed the University of Lagos has already sacked that lecturer, even though the case has not yet ended in the court. But we also have. But to bring it into this forum, to me, is an affront on the academia. It's a general condemnation on all of us.
We've run out of time. Let me give you the final word to react to that. Do you agree with Prof?
I do not agree. Like you said, the statistics say that 1 in 4 girls have been abused. This has been going on for so long. I remember somebody said on social media how her mom was reacting to the BBC video and saying, oh, thank God, in our time we didn't have anyone to show us this. We didn't have social media to speak for. We didn't have anyone to disguise or go under the guise of somebody, to do this undercover. So I do not agree with what you're saying, sir. This is not an attack. This is creating a safe space for more girls in our institutions, in the universities, in polytechnics. There was somebody in ABU Zaria that came and said, it was a one woman protest. She came out and said, you know what, I've had this up to here. It's been going on for so long, and somebody has to listen to me. I want this man to be prosecuted. We are creating safe spaces. It's like, I mean,
unfortunately, we don't have enough time, but this conversation continues on our social media pages at Weekend Show NG on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. .ng.com. Again, this conversation continues on our social media pages.